Hey there, long time no see, welcome back to my channel where we do all things game development related. This time we have something very fun. So yesterday I launched a gig on Fiverr offering to create a game prototype in under 4 hours for $5. I mean, I wanted to make it for $1, but the minimum is 5, so... Anyways, I ended up posting about the gig on Instagram and some of you were super quick to reply. Within 10 minutes I had 3 gigs. So I ended up pausing it and then, well, this is how the experiment went. The first order said this. Hey man, I'm a big fan of your Dota tutorials and was hoping you would make something about the hero I've been spamming a lot in pubs lately. You already did a tutorial on his spear, lol, yes, I'm talking about Mars. Just make whatever you feel like using the spear mechanic. Thanks in advance, Dietly. So, I've always wanted to make a first-person game based on a Dota 2 hero, so this was my chance. Let's do it. I began by creating a big platform where the player will play, and I placed a sphere right on the center with a blue color to act as the player for now. The player controls will be a rather simple first-person controller. There are many different ways to go about this, but I took the easy route. I need to finish this in 4 hours, so I was in a bit of a rush. This is what the player control looks like at this stage. You can look around, sprint and jump, all basic mechanics of a first-person game. For the spear, I created a capsule stretched out and added a script called spear. Fortunately for me, I have done this code a few times, so I could just write it off the top of my head. We actually need some enemies to shoot at. I created red spheres that will act as our enemies. Moving on to some level design, I kept things simple. These pillars around the map are the ones in charge of spawning the enemies. Let's see how it is looking right now. So the enemies will chase after you forever. Throw a spear and yep, they will die if they collide with the pillars or the ground. Not bad. There's something missing though. I think blood. Using Unity's shuriken particle system, I gave the enemies a blood explosion when they die. Let's give these little guys some funky eyes because why not, right?
You're goddamn right.
I quickly set up a crosshair and a retry button that will appear whenever an enemy collides with you. We also need a fall trigger for when you fall off the map. Oh, and the UI. Yeah, we need a counter to show the player how many kills he has gotten so far. Okay, at this point we got something solid going on, so I focus on visuals a bit more. First model I created was a low poly spear. The pillar. And for the enemy I went for something like a demon of some sort. I only created one animation for it, flapping its wings and moving his arms, then gave him a very boring skin. Last thing I did for this game is import a blood texture for our particle system and create this wind particle thing. Let's see the final game develop in about 3.5 hours. There is definitely potential here. You should add sound effects, more particle system to make it look prettier, and spend more time on the 3D assets as well. I think the game came out pretty fun. I'm going to finish the gig on Fiverr by sending him the files, and let's move on to the next gig. Hi Daitli, I saw your story and ran straight to my PC to place an order. I don't really need a full game, I just need a toilet paper mesh mechanic that when you move the roll gets more thin and eventually you run out of it. Could you make something like this? It needs to be a mesh instead of a particle trail, please. It's okay if you can't, then just keep the $5. I love all the content you make in YouTube and have used your tutorials in a lot of my projects. Thanks again, smiley face. I like how both of them have complimented my content. That's very nice of you guys, I really appreciate it. Let's jump into this toilet paper game thing, mechanic, I don't know. As always, I set up my game with a plane and a check-in material. The way this game will work is that the toilet paper or player will follow the mouse position. It's working now, but I need to lerp the values so that it moves to the mouse position smoothly rather than snapping to it. After a little while, I had it working. I also gave the player a visor like the Among Us characters so that I could tell which way it is currently facing. Next, I'm going to allow the toilet paper to sprint. Yes, sprint. A freaking toilet paper sprinting, and also a jump because why not, right? Here's the jumping mechanic working. I can change the speed of the jump as well as its height. Okay, looking good so far. Let's create the model for the toilet roll now. I will use shape keys to make the toilet run out of paper. If I change this value, you can see the toilet paper getting thinner. The best thing about using shape keys for this type of stuff is that we can later access this value and change it at runtime inside Unity. Let's import it and use it as our player model. I have to make sure that it is touching the ground though. Okay, let's see it in action.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
Toilet roll. Whoa, would you look at that? It's a freaking toilet paper jumping. What the hell am I doing? Alright. Let's do the main mechanic that they wanted. We will generate this mesh at runtime. The idea is basically we create a square below the toilet paper every second or millisecond, then we connect this newly created square with the rest of the squares we have created. Hopefully I'm explaining this in a way that you can understand it. English is not my first language. Let's see how it is currently looking. It's almost there. The trail is not staying in place though, and instead it is constantly moving with the player. We don't want that, but we're almost there. I think I got it working now. Let's see. Okay, nice, fuck yeah. Okay, this is oddly satisfying to play around with. I'm actually going to make it so that when we jump, it does not generate any more meshes until we land. Okay, that is pretty cool. I got an idea. I think I'm going to greatly increase the rotation speed while you are in the air so that you can use the jumping to redirect the toilet paper's trajectory. Okay, time for some eye candy. I'm going to import a very simple bathroom tile and add a play button. We need to be able to see how much toilet paper we have left other than the toilet paper itself getting thinner, so I'm going to use a simple image texture to display this value. Okay, I'm having a bit of an issue with the position of the toilet paper mesh, so I have to sort this out before I can move on. Okay, it's done, I think. Let's add a few walls, a door and some more toilet papers around the starting area. Let's hit play. Okay, we about to run out of toilet paper and... boom. Pretty cool, right? I know he did not want a game, just a mechanic, but I'm going to add some obstacles for the toilet paper to dodge. I was thinking about modeling a cockroach and adding them randomly around the map, but I don't want to trigger people's phobia watching this video by having an area full of cockroaches. I know some people who are disgusted and just can't look at cockroaches, so let's do poop.
Pooping is my favorite part of the day. There was one day I pooped 8 times. That was the best day of my life.
I will create 3 different textures, then import them into my project and give them a collider. Whenever the toilet paper collides with the poop, it will get slowed down, so if you hit a lot of poop, you might not be able to make it to the end of the level. And I think that is pretty much it for the second game. I really hope this is what you wanted. I had quite a bit of fun programming the toilet paper trail mechanic. Okay, let's jump into the last gig. A first-person game based off Shadowfiend. I love how short and straight to the point this is. We already made a first-person game today, and it was also based off a hero from Dota 2. But I can't say no to this gig, mainly because I love Shadowfiend. He is one of my favorite heroes. In fact, I even have a tattoo on my leg of him. So let's do a first-person Shadowfiend game.
It's now or nevermore.
I'm going to start by creating the first-person hands. I tried to make it as similar as the Shadowfiend hands. To avoid copyright, of course, I gave him one less finger. I'm going to be needing a few animations. An idle, 2 attack animations, and 3 for the Shadowfiend raise spell. Now I quickly set up my scene with a plane that has a checker material once again. Then I imported my hands and began setting up my first-person controller. For the attacks, I will use a blend tree to play a random attack animation whenever the player attacks. That way you don't get tired of seeing the same animation over and over again. Let's check out the hands right now. So I think I might go change the attack animations. They are quite boring and not that different from one another. The race animations though, I think I captured Shadowfiend's movement pretty well. Time to program the race. Plan is that we do a raycast forward from the camera position and spawn the race at the hit point of this raycast. Let's test it out real quick. So I am not hitting the ground right now, but if you look down and cast it, yep, it's working. If you notice the race starts small then gets bigger, that is because the race itself does not deal damage until the second stage when it gets bigger. The first stage is to allow the player to aim it and hit the enemy with it. I'm also going to change the basic attack animations. If you get really close to an enemy and use the basic attack, he does the melee animation, and if you're far, it does the shooting animation. Okay, time to make the race look better. I have always really enjoyed creating visual effects, so I had quite a bit of fun trying to come as close as I can to the original race visual effect. For the attack projectile, I will use a custom shader that has a black Fresnel effect around its borders, then create a particle system to make it look a bit better. We also need to code the attacks, right? Make it go forward over time, as well as check if we are in melee range so that we hit them with the melee instead. One more thing I almost forgot was to create an impact visual effect for the basic attack. Okay, now for the enemies, we will do something very similar to the first game we created, but this time the enemies will not always chase you. There will be a few of them who will chase you, forcing you to keep tabs on all enemies. And voila! We got a first-person Shadowfiend game. If I had more time to work on this, I think it would be a very fun little arcade game, but hey, let's hope that the person who requested this game continues developing it. That's pretty much it for this video. I'm thinking about doing this again in the future, and instead of spending 4 hours, I might spend a whole day so that we can create something more decent, because these games, where they might look okay, they lack a lot of things. If this type of content interests you, please like and subscribe. This is a very small channel, so every bit helps out a lot. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.